Scales of Character, Lesson 5. Today we're going to stylize our etudes with articulations. Here we go. Hey, this is Brandon Dix. I'm the author of Scales with Character. Today we're going to change things up just a little bit from our regular lessons. Today we're going to go straight to the character study G major, and we're going to talk about how we can stylize this etude. Go ahead and move over to page 14 of the Scales with Character book, but while you do that, like this video, subscribe to BDix Music, and also hit that bell icon so you can get updated of the latest videos releasing. Now before we stylize this etude, let's make sure that we define and practice it first. So let's go back to some things in lesson 3. Check out that video if you haven't already. First things first, let's analyze the etude, see what we're up against. So this is a playful waltz. It starts off with this up and down motion, which makes it feel like it's rocking back and forth. And then it has this rhythm that pops out. The start of the second line is a little off kilter, but then it gets right back into the waltzy groove after that. And then it goes into a variation of the first line where it changes the notes and rhythms just a tiny bit. Notice on the fourth line that the second and third measure is just a scale going downwards. This will help you practice it a little bit faster. Now we're getting something that really sounds like a waltz, and that fourth measure is just like the first line. Pop it out. Now measure 21 and 22 is pretty easy, but check out the next two measures. Accidentals. Probably should check this a little bit. Now the last two lines are the exact same as the third and fourth line. This will help us with practicing, make it easier for us to really get all this down on our fingers. Let's make sure we make this ending feel like an ending though. Make this different than the first time. Now we're going to put some style into this etude. Make sure you define and practice your etude first before you stylize yours. Now for the G major character study, we'll be imitating a playful waltz. Notice something though, there's no articulation markings added in at all.
Oh, you're right, there are no articulations. Never noticed that.
Doesn't surprise me.
Wait, what?
Nothing! This is done on purpose. You get to define what the style is. You get to define the articulations. And you get to be very pinpointed in what you want to say with this etude. Now I gave you the answer on how I would like you to play this etude by my demonstration video. You heard exactly what I would do with it. However, it's your job as a musician to create your own interpretation out of what you see in front of you and the information you're given about the piece. If there's any major rules you have to follow, this is the one. Whatever the descriptor says at the very top, you have to embody that character, that style, that emotion, you have to follow it. For example, these character studies. There's a little title in front that says, whatever the character is, a playful waltz. So we have to play this as if it's a playful waltz. Well, your first thought might be, what's a waltz? You might have heard the name of a waltz, but never actually listened to one. Well, here's one example. All jokes aside, the first thing you gotta do is listen to what you're imitating, so search it online. It's like, no duh, search it is an easy answer. Well, do it. Make sure you're getting an audio recording online. It could be something from YouTube, it could be something from Amazon or Spotify. You just need to listen to a recording. If you want a composer to listen off of, Johann Strauss II or The Waltz King would be a good place to start. When you're listening to this, figure out what is the big important thing that's sticking out when you're listening to this piece. It could be a rhythm that comes out. It could be an emotion attached to the piece. For a waltz, it's the rhythm. You keep on hearing boom, chick, chick, boom, chick, chick all over again at the bottom level. It can go slower too. Boom, chick, chick, boom, chick, chick. But it's always doing that rhythm at the bottom. Let's go back to the character study and put this in context. Basically, we're trying to get the boom chick into our etude. We're gonna use articulations to help out with this. For the booms, we can have accents. For the chick chicks, we can have staccatos. So when we put that to the first line of the etude, the first note will be an accent and the next two will be staccato. So it'll sound like this. Basically, we're trying to avoid this. In the first ones, you can hear the boom chick. And the second ones, they weren't present at all. It sounds pretty, but it's not a waltz. It's not in the waltz style. You can hear the difference between the two, and one is more stylized. Both are fine, but one is more waltz-like. You also want to avoid this mistake. Now that version is stylized, that there is no doubt, but where's the melody? This is an etude, it's still a song. You're stylizing it, you are not compromising the style for the melody. You still have to make this sing. This is why you still define and practice before you're doing this. If you're good enough, you can do it at the same time, but there needs to be a melody, a clear melody in this. Make sure you're working your phrasing and then add the style on top of that. Do not clip the staccatos.
Don't do it!
So you go in and write all your articulations. What if you want to change them? That's perfectly okay. There's many different ways to interpret one thing. In fact, there's many correct ways to interpret some places. Let's take a look at the second line. The first two measures are actually pretty weird, and you can interpret them in two different ways. You could do it in the waltz style, like we just did before. Boom, chick, chick, boom, chick, chick. It'll sound like this. Or you can accent every slur. This actually works really well. See how it fits in. If you study enough waltzes, you actually will find this in a bunch of different ones. It's a cool effect. So a quick wrap up for this video, you need to define and practice your etude before you stylize it. Once you've done that, look up the descriptor at the very top of the music, see what it means, and listen to recordings of those. Listen to the recordings, find out what sticks out from them, and then try to put that in your etude. Write out the articulations yourself. Don't let the style get in the way of the melody. That'll about do it for this video. Please leave a like, leave a comment of any suggestions that you have, and subscribe for more content. Going on to lesson 6, whew, going back to the high range. I'll see you guys next time. Remember to practice with character. Boom chick.